Hey, folks, we are just about 2 weeks away from college football beginning. August 26th is kickoff weekend. And so this is the time of year when people are making their predictions, putting themselves out there for all to see. And today I'm going to give you five teams that maybe I'm just a little bit too high on. There are a few teams that I like more than a lot of the national media. And there are reasons for me to be a little bit worried that they won't finish as high as expected. So let's get right to it. The first one is the Florida State Seminoles. I have them in the playoff at number 4. They're returning a boatload of talent from last year's team that made a major stride. But is it just hype that I'm buying into? I mean, Jordan Travis is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Jared Verse is a great rush man. The offensive line has a lot of experience. The running game should be good. The receivers. Why is it that I should be scared? Well, they have beaten Clemson in 7 straight matches, and that is probably going to be what they need to do to win the ACC. So maybe it's a little bit of faith. Clemson's talent level still may be a tick better than Florida State's is, but it's certainly something that bears watching. And again, that game is early in the season, so we should know. But you can bet I will be holding my breath on that game because that will really determine the game whether or not Florida State is a breakthrough or maybe it's just a little bit of a mirage, especially since it will have the opener with LSU. It could have 2 losses before the calendar changes to October, and then we'll know that the hype was just that. The next team that is up is USC. Yeah, I know. A lot of people think that USC shouldn't be anywhere near the top 10 with the defense that it plays, and there is probably some legitimacy to that. Alex Grinch being a defensive coordinator, things have never worked out well. They do have more talent than they had last year, but can they really survive just outscoring people? You know that Caleb Williams is great. They are going to lean a little bit more on the running game. The offensive line should be better than it was last year, although there were some times when it couldn't pick up the tough yardage. So that's something that's going to have to improve. But the schedule is really backloaded, and the physical teams like Utah just really beat them up, not just once, but twice last year. And they have to face them and Oregon State, which is another team that can get after you defensively. So maybe USC at 5 is just a little bit high, but they certainly have the athletes to play with anybody. We'll just see if they can win a lot of video game type contests. At number 11, I have a fellow Pac-12 team in Washington. Like USC, Washington has a really, really good quarterback in Michael Penix Jr., and they have a very solid receiving game, and the offensive line is very good. But like USC, they were not great on defense last year, especially against the pass. And in a league like the Pac-12, you need to be able to stop people through the air or you're not going to win games. So if that area doesn't get better, then Washington being in the flirting with the top 10 could just be a bit of a pipe dream. Number 15, I have South Carolina higher than just about anybody else does. I'm buying into Spencer Rattler. I'm buying into the coordinator change with Dow Liggins, that he should be able to settle him down and have him playing more mistake-free football. The real issue for South Carolina is on both lines. They haven't been able to stop the run for the last 5 years. They finished 11th or worse in the SEC against the run. And so that is not good. And you have to wonder who's going to be the running back. And if they find one, is the offensive line going to be able to open holes? So South Carolina's big question marks are up front on both sides of the ball. And last but not least is North Carolina at 25. How can I have them too high if they're just barely in the poll? Well, I could have them be also receiving votes. I do love Drake May. I do think that the offense is very good, although if Tez Walker is out for any amount of time, or for a long amount of time, or even the entire season, the offense takes a little bit of a hit. But the defense last year just was not good. They gave up too many points too often. They got tired. I know that they remodeled the secondary, which should be a little bit better, but the front needs to be able to affect the passer They only had 17 sacks last year, and if they cannot affect the passer better this year, then North Carolina could be looking at an 8-4, 7-5 season, and that is not what Mac Brown has in mind at all. So that's a quick rundown of the teams that I maybe should be a little bit worried that I have too high. Who are a couple that you have seen in the polls that you think might be a little too highly rated? Leave some in the comments, and again, don't forget to like and subscribe.